All right. Sara, thanks for being here. I know this has been a crazy week. We had quarterly planning session all day Wednesday. We have
Yeah.
more and more clients signing up for some awesome design and construction. So it's been a lot, but we had to get this after the live in with such a cool uh, dual guest experience, which is actually on Monday this week. Christopher
Yeah.
Lawton and Micah Stanley from Lawton Stanley Architects were on the show, and a lot of what we talked about was some of their incredible restaurant designs, including Curtis Duffy's Ever restaurant there in Chicago, which I've never been to, but you've actually eaten there.
I have eaten there. Yes, that was my 40th birthday dinner. So, yeah, it was I was trying to remember all the little pieces of the experience outside of the food. And of course, husband architect Chris and I are geeking out over the space. And I remember feeling very self-conscious in the dining room because we're like touching the edge condition on the table and looking at the furniture and like staring up at the walls and the ceiling. And then the part that is the most funny is, or I think is the most funny, they don't have men and women's bathrooms in there. It's just three single whoever um, bathrooms, and they're all different and they're all designed different. So Chris and I kept going to the bathroom, be like, try the middle one this time because they're the designs are different in each one. So we went to the bathroom a lot, but otherwise, and I thought that was the funniest part. But it's a awesome space. So I remember listening to just Live Live and listening to Micah and Chris Christopher talk about how they came up with that space, like especially Micah talking about um, procession, like the entry to the space. I totally could sense that the attention paid to that because it's definitely different than any other approach I've had at any other restaurant. It's not just like you're walked in and led to your table. There is a procession, and there is like the dark corner where they let you pause, and they brought out champagne, and you're just standing there, and you have a really quick like just a little shot glass pretty much full of champagne or an amuse bouche before you even get to the table. And it's like, oh, this is a different experience, but like, and it's dark and heavy, and then you just kind of are led around the corner, and then here's the dining room. And I remember how quiet it was in there. So hearing Micah talk about how intentional it was with the materiality, like I was so surprised by how small the space was that you really couldn't hear people at the next table, or you really couldn't hear any noise when you were walking through that dining room. It was almost like spooky quiet. Um, and then you get comfortable at your table, and then you just like, it feels intimate somehow just because of how quiet it is. It's an awesome space. It was such a cool experience.
And I made it as my virtual background here
Yeah.
on one of the mini photos. So that would be the actual dining floor. And the are all of the slatted wall systems, are they all movable, or
That
some
I
of
don't
them?
know. I mean,
Okay,
Chris and I were
no, some
trying
of them aren't.
to we were trying to look for tracks on the floor. So at some point we identified where some could move, but I don't know if all of them can because we couldn't walk around the whole dining room like weirdos.
But I mean, and again, I just finished reading Unreasonable Hospitality, and Will Guidara talks so much about the smiling experience of fine dining and how that
Yeah.
kind of went away and it got stuffy. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that they loved how excited you and Chris were about all the details and
The
things that went
server
in
was
there.
really excited because like
Yeah.
we'd be like at the table like looking at how the top is connected to the base, and we were like looking at the chairs and everything, and the server was just like, oh, you're architects, like they were really excited that we were excited and like just taking it all in.
And was it just the two of you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't bring the kids?
No. Oh, come on. Oh my god, for that
it's
price, never.
that's like when I think the Cubs were in Game 6 of the World Series and they were home, and we took
Yeah.
the kids up to Wrigley Field and went to some places around there, and people were like, "Oh, you guys are going to the game?" I'm like, "No, I wouldn't take my 4-year-old kids to Game 6. I'd love to
Yeah.
go, but I'm not taking my kids."
Yeah.
That's an
No.
expensive experience. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. How about you remember the food? What'd you guys do? The
Oh
tasting
my
menu
God.
or
Yeah, yeah. I think that's all you can do
okay.
at Ever. But yeah, I still have the printout somewhere and it's signed by Curtis Duffy too. I have all the pictures. There's so many memorable moments of that food. Like I'm a big fan of butter. Like Maddie at our office could tell you, she calls me Butter Girl, but I love butter. And they make their own butter. And one course is just three different types of butter and three different types of bread. And Chris and I still talk about that butter. And they even give you some to take home at the end of the day. And it was like my favorite thing. And then the thing that I think about the most was a dessert. Like you go through the whole tasting menu, and I mean, I'm not a chef, but I like to cook and I understand flavor profiles and mouthfeel and stuff like that. Like you get through, I don't know how many, 8 courses, 9, whatever, and then you feel so full. And then they start the desserts, and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. But like they ended the tasting course with the richest meat you could imagine. I think was it the Wagyu beef? I don't know, but it was just like really, there was a lot of fat in it, and it was just like over the top. And I was just like, no, we're done. And then they hit you with this amazing dessert that was really tart and light, and it just cut through all that fat so perfectly. I think about that dessert at least once a week. And it was like a jelly, it was like hibiscus and oh, I've got a picture of it, and you have to like crack through this like sugar shell on top of it, like this clear sugar wafer on top, and it was just the perfect bit of like tartness and lightness. And it was like, oh yeah, now I can finish the rest of the desserts. And that was like one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I get it now. Like I get the tasting menu and the procession now. Like you really do have to think about that. And it was one of the most successful like um meal transitions I've ever experienced. I think about it all the time.
Well, I'm getting hungry now.
Okay.
Well, and we talked about the space. It was a really cool episode, and there was a lot of parallels. I think that I brought up during the episode too. But uh, as a business, as a small business, and how they've kind of struggled with scaling and being okay with that,
Yeah.
to be to be the artist, and the parallels to Adam Reed Tucker, and just wanting to make and do their specialty is really interesting to hear. But after doing these exceptional Michelin restaurants, Michelin starred restaurants, then they kind of got into bread and butter work, and it kind of led them on a little bit of a different track. And they're like, well, we don't really like doing that. So they said, okay, let's
Yeah.
just focus on just really picking and choosing the exceptional projects that we want to do, which
Yeah.
is interesting. It's a to be intentional about that, I think is really, really important, and to just
Yeah.
understand that, because there's a lot of different ways you can go in business, if you want to scale and offer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my take on it is, if we just limit it to one project a year, we're limiting the number of families that we can, impact and bring
Right.
more
And
stuff to
that's
the
our
world. Yeah.
LivCo's mission statement, is changing the way people live. And we can only change one person in the way they live if you limit the number of, or whatever, one family. Um, so yeah, I totally relate to that. But one of the things I was interested in hearing and listening to them talk about was like it's just such a different type of architecture and a different client than what we deal with every day. Like when I think it was Christopher talking about how the level of trust that they had to pretty much demand from their client or their investor, and how he was saying like every step of the way the trust gets oops, I lost that AirPod, but along the way how the trust gets whittled away and whittled away, and then when they finally see the end product, how like fulfilling that is. And I'm just like, that I don't know if we'd ever, being in just single family residential world, ever be able to whittle away trust that much, just in the hopes that the family will be like, yes, we're ready for the payoff. Maybe if you're in the like major custom homes, like multi-million dollar custom home world, you can, but like at our scale, you just can't. It's a different client. Like you're dealing with people's their family life. You just can't just be like, oh yeah, just trust us. The lighting's going to be great here. No, they need to be assured that they'll be able to see what they're making for dinner that night or whatever. But it's just different, and that was it's cool to hear about the different facets of this industry.
Yeah, and they have to test a lot of different things and
Yeah,
mock-ups
doing
because
mock-ups.
at the
I
end
was
of the
like, we
day they're
don't do
like fingers
mock-ups.
crossed that this thing's good. And
Right.
we've gone through that. I think you and I both in our own design progression. And at what point do you actually have confidence in what you've put on paper is going to be good?
Yeah,
I don't know. It
exactly.
feels good when you kind of cross that line and you can trust in your own design chops,
Yeah.
which Micah Stanley clearly has that ability. Well, we're already over time. So,
Oh
Sara,
wow. All right.
awesome, awesome chat. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple minutes in our weekly
All right.
business meeting. That one's not live. Thanks,
Thank
everybody,
goodness.
for watching.
See ya.